Hi everyone, happy Friday. So today we're reflecting on the three different articles. Report finds $23 billion in racial funding gap for schools, modern day redlining, for both of them and the Philadelphia one. I found these articles really interesting and I liked how they tied in with one another. I find it not surprising about the actual funding gap between non-white and white communities. But what I really found interesting about these readings today for this week was how, especially in Philadelphia, with the redlining, the fact that non-white, meaning African Americans, Asians, those coming over from Europe, it really blocked them from moving into white communities. And I think in a sense, we actually set up our society to fail. I found a really interesting quote in the How Redlining Segregated Philadelphia that really stood out to me as I try and find it again. It discussed how they kept a lot of black residents from buying homes outside black neighborhoods. That the other part of housing, which is another part of housing discrimination, a lot of jobs around that time had moved out, and it was hard for non-white citizens to get jobs outside of the city of Philadelphia, and they couldn't find housing outside the city, which meant no money, and then there was, which meant the crime would increase, drug abuse, and everything. I thought it's really interesting, just in the sense that we talk about on a regular basis, I know, between myself and other teachers and in class, that by us segregating back in the 1930s and setting them up to fail is why the funding gap is so huge. We basically put all the white citizens in one area, and then the income is increased, so the funding is increased, because we wouldn't allow non-whites in white communities. And now we wonder as a society why there's so much crime and there's so much funding issues, so many funding issues, when we go and look at why there's failing schools within the city of Philadelphia. But if you look back again, historically, we set that up. We failed. We made the system fail. And it is going to take a lot of effort to fix the problems that we created as Americans. And the fact that this discrimination is still extremely relevant to this day, and how many non-white citizens are still getting denied mortgages, even though their credit score could be fine. They could make $100,000 a year, but because they're not white, they're not going to get approved. And I find that disheartening. It honestly makes me sick to my stomach that this still happens. And it's definitely something that should be addressed. And as future lead educators, I think it's something that we need to consider helping our society, helping our government realize this and start to fix this situation. But again, it really stood out to me how much we failed the system and we failed non-white citizens. And this is why things are the way they are. Let me know what you all think, and hope you all have a wonderful weekend.